Over the past few months, I have dipped my toes into the deep, dark ocean that is known as game development. But making all these small test games and barely functioning tech demos just is not doing it for me. I, like many, have a burning fire inside that I just want to create this beautiful game for everybody to play and love and go, oh my god, I love that game. Oh, it changed my life. I love video game, it's great. So I decided enough was enough and I was going to make a full game for sale on Steam. But there is a lot of new games added to Steam every day. There's like 34 new games a day and most of them are just random dungeon crawler goblin slaying games that we've seen countless of times. Killing slimes, looting chests, I mean we've seen it all done before. And like, don't get me wrong, there's no problem with that, no hate to my other developers, but I kind of wanted to do something different. And also, even if I wanted to make a game like that, my development skills are, yeah, they're not as good as those other people. I would not be able to program a big fighting game with tons of RPG systems, so I wanted to go for a more simple and more concrete game here, focus more on the idea and settings rather than fancy physics pieces. And when I'm talking about a simple game, I am not talking about something like Geometry Dash, okay? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I was thinking maybe I could make a game where I don't gotta crack the damn theory of relativity to get it finished, okay? It's just, I'm no Einstein, you know, I didn't do so well in school, so you just gotta give me a break, okay? I can't do that stuff. My brain started itching when recently I started replaying the indie classic known as Papers, Please. Now, if you know anything about that game, then you know the gameplay is just about a border patrol officer, which sounds kind of lame, like you're just watching the border like the whole time and you have to make sure to feed your family. It's kind of just a job. When you go into it, it creates this like tense, unique gameplay experience while still remaining quite simple and using mostly like drag and drop controls. And I was thinking that's something that I could actually do, something like that. I could do, maybe not as good as him, but I could do an actual full game with that sort of gameplay. The thing that I find really fascinating about that game is it's not just a job. Well, on one hand, there's a border patrol thing, border control, whatever the hell you want to call it. There's that part, but there's also this other part where you're working for like this shady communist, whatever, government. You kind of have to do this job. It's kind of like your given duty. You have to do this to feed your family and not go to prison for the rest of your life unknown. The thing is with this job as a border control officer, you have to reject and accept people that are coming in. Sometimes there are people that need to get away from danger and need to go into here for safe haven, and you just have to deny them no matter what if they don't have the right documents, which creates a really interesting moral dynamic, which I thought was something I could use in my game. So I kind of wanted to use this as a key inspiration for the game, but I also didn't want to make it completely like that. I didn't just want to copy the gameplay style. So I was thinking to other genres and other things that I was looking at, and I was thinking, what is a genre that hasn't changed a lot that could use a breath of fresh air like this? And then I started thinking, cooking games, man. You ever play Papa's Freezeria or Papa's Pizzeria or whatever? Papa's game, Papa's If you've played one of these games, then you know it's just for a specific target audience. You know, it's mainly for casual gamers and it doesn't really have that much impeding danger. You may be feeling the rush of like dinner service, making sure you get things done and making sure that the cooking is proper, but there's never any sort of like moral dynamics or like any sort of unique gameplay that'll like make you think. So that's when I got to thinking, why don't I take that Papers, Please gameplay and kind of cruel and grim setting and the moral dilemmas of the game and kind of mix it and match it around with a cooking game? And also the third kind of grim element where you're a cannibal. Introducing Monster Chef, or Cooking Monster, or Monster Cook, or Monster with a chef hat. Yeah, the title is for later. The title is for later. Okay, now let me pitch this game for you. You see this guy here? Yeah. That's George, and he's the main character of this game. You see, years ago, the world was like ours, covered with humans, but then one day the monsters came from underneath and took over the humans, killing all the humans and resuming their role in society. So it's basically like Monsters Inc. or like a monster society. They still like do jobs like janitors and chefs and government agents and other stuff like that. So George is a normal citizen in the society, but recently, like our modern day, inflation has been on the rise, unemployment is raising, and pain and world tensions is rising dramatically. So George ends up being unemployed and he can't find any job at all. That is, until he finally finds this new startup restaurant that finally hires them as their head chef. The only problem with this restaurant is that in order to cut costs in this society, they end up cooking other monsters instead of animals. Now George doesn't like this, you know, he's a nice guy, he has a family, he has a kid, he has a wife, he doesn't want to cook other monsters. That's cannibalism, that's horrible. But money is tight, and now he's facing this moral dilemma where he can keep the job and work, but he has to keep his mouth shut and be careful because the police are on him. Not only that, he has to make sure nobody gets sick and everything goes right at his job as well, while feeding his family and risking not to lose the job. George, that's a tough situation, man. That's why it's up to the player to step in his shoes and make sure everything's okay. So this isn't just your average cooking game. This is supposed to be a mind-bending, thriller, tense, monster, cannibalistic cooking game, and provides an experimental view into the hideous behind kitchens, cannibalism, and human rights. Oh, doesn't that sound awesome? That is if I pull it off, which, yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, I don't really know. These are the games I made before, and they're not good. So let's just hope that I actually do pull it off, and it's awesome. That's enough pitching and talking about the game. Let me show you what I've actually made, which is not a lot. So far, I hopped on Unity and created a prototype where you can basically pick up objects and slice them. That's it. So it's basically like, in a way, I've already created a cooking prototype of what the kitchen will be like, but it's not there yet. It's not there. I've been focusing these past few weeks more on the actual design of the game and organization of the project, because I know that's a huge problem for a lot of indie projects where they make a really big scope and then things happen, you know? So I made sure I got organized. I've got a Trello board, I've got a GitHub already with the whole thing backed up, I've got a design document, I'm taking a course in pixel art, which is kind of nuts because I don't like school at all, but I gotta make sure this thing looks good as well, so I'm pulling out all the stops here to make a nice game for you guys. I've also made a good amount of concept art of the game, and this is very non-final. I've just made like some monsters. I made like a prototype of the UI, which looks really similar to Papers, Please, so that'll be I don't want to copy it. That'll be different later, but for now it's just super early prototypes to get a feel of what everything looks like. But that's pretty much it for this week. As of now, this is just week 1 or Devlog 1 of a multi-Devlog series. This is probably going to take me like 6 months to make or something like that. I want to make it in a fast time frame, and I'm going to be making weekly or bi-weekly videos with constant updates about the game's progress. So if you're interested, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the ceiling, hit the floor, hit everything, man. Just keep hitting it to support this channel and watch the devlogs. And with that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.